everyone. I'm Carlota Pico from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here today with Jasmine Anderson, who is Global Content Marketing Manager at Dometic and has over 12 years of experience in marketing and communications. Welcome, Jasmine, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Content Mix.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited as well. I can't wait to learn more about what Dometic does and your role within it. Okay, so to get this interview started off, tell me a little bit about your background. I heard that you're Australian.
Yeah, so you might not be able to hear from my accent. I try to bring out my Australianisms as much as I can, but after 9 years in Sweden, I have a pretty neutral accent. So yeah, I've been living in Stockholm for the last 9 years and working in marketing here at Dometic.
Okay, so does that mean that you started off your marketing career in Australia and then moved over to Sweden?
Yeah, I started actually when I was 20 working with marketing pretty much like back when it was like websites and no social media, and progressed onto that working with music and working with like storytelling with marketing. And then I moved to Sweden in 2011, not with really a marketing role, more of a personal reasons, and then found my way back into marketing in Stockholm about 6 years ago, going from freelance to working in a gaming company and now at Dometic.
Okay, how exciting. Well, I'll ask you more about Dometic soon, but I want to focus still on your transition from Australia to Sweden. What major professional lessons have you learned during your experience abroad?
Yeah, so I mean, moving to a different country where English isn't the spoken language was absolutely a bit of a shock at first, but I learned to let my differences be really my strengths and how to leverage them. So as a native English speaker abroad, I really tried to focus on what I could bring to a Swedish company and bring a unique perspective or views of the world. It's something that I could really bring that was different to allow me to kind of get my foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And now I've really learned from all this time in Sweden and also working in Europe how to see the world through European eyes, but also Western eyes at the same time, and combine them together for a global perspective that can work on multiple levels. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned how to do from my time here so far. And work on content that can create really speak to all those markets.
Mm-hmm. How interesting. So I'm sure that comes really in handy for your current role. You're a content marketing manager at Dometic, global content marketing manager at Dometic. So could you tell me a little bit about Dometic? What does it do? What products does it offer?
Yeah, so I'm going to try and explain to you what Dometic does. Dometic is the global market leader in branded solutions for mobile living. And the best way I can describe mobile living to you is that we help millions of people around the world to travel further, stay away longer, and make the most of the outdoors. And that's by making products that offer a reliable way to satisfy your essential needs while away from home, like cooking, keeping food fresh, staying cool or warm in any climate, or even having mobile power to charge your laptops and stay connected to the world when you're off the grid. So if you've ever stepped inside an RV or a camper van, a boat or a truck, you've most likely come in contact with or used a Dometic product.
Okay, very cool. And what do you do within Dometic? So you're a global content marketing manager, but could you break that down for us?
Sure. I am responsible for overseeing Dometic's complete content marketing strategy and social media strategy, both on the organic and paid side of social media. And I also oversee Dometic's influencer marketing program globally for the brand and for the group. So I have a really broad role that allows me to work across multiple different channels and with different kinds of content, and with all the different regions and countries in the world pretty much that we serve right now.
Okay. I'm smelling a challenge or perhaps an opportunity as a result of COVID-19 because you're providing different products for people that are on the go or moving. And because of COVID-19, nobody can really move anywhere. So I don't know if that has been an opportunity or a challenge, but I would love to learn more about how COVID-19 has affected your marketing strategy and the manner in which you communicate with your audience?
Absolutely. Everyone right now is really hopping on the staycation trend because no one can fly and travel. So that means that people are looking to go have a vacation with a tent, a boat, an RV, and obviously like our products are perfect for that. So we've really like doubled down right now on our marketing efforts around the staycation concept and also online, so that we can really like meet the audience and meet new target audiences that might not know about what Dometic can offer them for their new kinds of vacation, in the digital space. So we're running right now an omni-channel marketing campaign for staycation in over 12 countries in Europe, and that's going really, really well right now.
Okay. Sounds super exciting. I'll definitely zoom into that later on into our interview, but I still want to focus on COVID-19. So what did marketing look like before COVID-19 at Dometic, and what does it look like now in terms of what do you think the future and the present, I guess, of marketing looks like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, right, what it looked like before is that obviously we had much more face-to-face contact with our customers and consumers, and there was trade shows, events, and a lot of retail stores were open where people could interact with our products. But right now, everyone is really not able to do that, so digital is king. So we're like really focusing more and more on digital content to support our business goals. I really feel like the digital online experience, how that is evolving, will evolve even more faster, even more rapidly now. So no one really wants to be like sold to anymore in a sales way. So content marketing, I feel, with that less person-to-person interaction will become such a big part of the customer journey and have to do so much more heavy lifting than it already does to kind of move people through that like sales channel and sales funnel into becoming a customer. So I really feel that we really have to there's more demand than ever for digital, and maybe we won't really go back to the ways that we did traditional marketing before, or they won't become as important as they were perceived in the past.
Okay, so you think that in terms of things that have changed forever is really our new focus, I guess our growing focus on digital marketing and digital marketing channels?
Yeah, and I think the pandemic has forced a lot of people to shop online. So once people maybe can go back to shopping that didn't always shop before online, they now have broken that barrier. And I don't think that they're going to go back to just shopping in store like they were before. So I see AR and VR becoming the norm for brands, both big and small. And I think that will go beyond what is cool and trendy and a fad and become more like digital showrooms and experiences. So I think for marketers, if you're not already looking in that space, I think you should be, because that's where what we'll have to do to keep the customers engaged in the digital space when we can't meet them in person.
Yeah, very interesting. What about storytelling? How has COVID-19 impacted your storytelling or your communication, the way that you communicate with your audience? Have you had to, I guess, try to relate to them on a one-to-one level more so than on an overarching level? So in order to create trust and in order to resonate with them better, especially during these troubling times?
Yeah, I think it's, for us, what we offer our customers has always been an opportunity to get outside, to find freedom, to explore the world. And we're bringing that a little bit closer to home. So we're really, in the sense of we've always kind of speaking the same message, but we're adapting it to a wider target audience and giving them more possibilities to learn about our products on more of a generalized level. Not everyone is a product expert, and we want to just introduce these themes and concepts in a smart way. So we're using social media, more immersive campaigns in the digital space, and a lot of video content to really connect with existing audiences and new audiences in a meaningful way. And also using ambassadors and our influencers to really create social proof and relatability of our products in a way that perhaps we can't do ourselves as a big brand and a big company.
Mm-hmm. So how do you know what content to create for your audience and what distribution channels to use? Like, how do you know what they're going to resonate with, especially during COVID times? Because, I mean, during COVID times, there's just so many emotions that are bubbling inside one individual. So to be able to break it down by personas is just a challenge on itself.
Yeah, I think that's when like customer journey mapping and a bit of the marketing 101 tactics come into play really well. So this is what I do, because I think I want to be able to answer the questions the customers have with thoughtful and meaningful content so we can move them through that customer journey in a good way. So for me, it's about mapping out all the target audiences, identifying all the sub personas in that target audiences, and like really going through strategically from inspiration to awareness to the end state of conversion, and mapping out like what are the actions, what are the motivations, what questions could a potential customer have, what problems and pain points and things that could stop them from moving forward with a purchase. And what can we do with our products and our content to really like get them over the line, to make them feel comfortable and feel confident in our brand. And that to me, that kind of like gridded out system really helps me to know, okay, this is the content we need to create here. This is the questions we need to answer. And this is where we need to have it in the journey. And since I'm working across so many different target audiences with Dometic, because we make products for boats, and boat owners are very different to RV owners, and then the campers are different as well. It's really important that, wearing different hats, that I look to the resources that are available, such as like Google Trends. I think another good one is Answer the Public. It's a really good SEO tool for looking at what people are actually searching for and asking about right now. So you can stay relevant to actually what are the questions and the content tweaks we need to make to be relatable to that audience at this time, especially in COVID, where people have probably many different questions about, what is a staycation, for example? Like if you've never ever, for example, thought about going tent camping, there's so many things you need to research before you can start. What products do we need to have? What is the best tent for a small family? And we want to be able to be assured that our content is addressing those questions so we can build that trust and authority with potential customers and target audiences.
Okay. So then what about distribution channels? How do you actually get that information to your target audience?
We use a combination of different channels. I mean, predominantly we use social media, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, also a bit of LinkedIn, but that's more of a business to business channel for us, and also YouTube. And then we also, I guess, our main focus is using, awareness tactics, combination of paid and organic, and with influencers as well, to drive traffic back to like our main web property, which is dometic.com, mm-hmm. where we have like we always present like our campaigns with a specific campaign landing page with a lot of editorial information about suited to the target audience, so then they can like move through the journey. It's also the personas. Every single persona has a different way of absorbing information. So, and we try to target them with the right targeting, for example, like dynamic retargeting, ensuring that we are, touching the right audiences in their interests and finding new people, lookalikes to find on social media. Mm-hmm. So it's a combination, but predominantly I would say social is one of our biggest tools for distribution right now.
Okay, excellent. So I do want to talk about a comment that you said earlier on in the interview. You're running right now 12 campaigns across different EMEA markets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are a few best practices for running effective multi-language, large-scale content projects?
Wow, that is like, it's a lot of coordination and a lot of, first, the obvious is planning a clear process, having everyone buy in and know what is expected of them and guidelines. But my most, important best practices and learnings is like context and character count. And when I say character count, I mean, with translations. What you can say in English, for example, in 100 characters, you need to be aware that in you won't be able to say that in Finnish, for example. You might need 300 characters. So specifying character count to suit the content, for example, so you don't have massive problems when you do the translation process and you make the project live online and you realize you have way too many characters and all the pictures are covered in text, or the video won't work because you didn't specify to the translator that you need to have like a limit within reason. Would be one of my first biggest learnings and lessons for myself, especially when you're doing multiple projects in multiple languages. And then I guess it's context. You have to arm your team in the regions and in the countries that you work in and are present with the right tools to help them, empower them to be able to do good translations that is contextually appropriate for that market. Europe is such a special multicultural continent. We have so many different unique cultures that are right next to each other, and unlike Australia and the US, where it can be quite similar in many ways, especially because the language is the same, but there are also nuances between Australia and US and even the UK.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take into consideration. With Europe, it's a whole different thing. So you really need to trust the people on the other side to understand the context of the campaign, but also then trust them to know what's best for their market and to not, I guess, force or push them to a direct translation situation where you go so far from the original meaning of the campaign. Mm-hmm. So they're my best practices. But yeah.
Okay, so you're giving your teams the creativity to localize the content according to cultural mm-hmm. norms and to cultural nuances. But from a global point of view, you're giving them the instructions of, okay, this is a message that we want to transmit to our different audiences. And then it's up to you to actually adapt that message and localize it according to your cultural nuances.
Yeah, we provide them with all the assets for a campaign, being videos, images, concept, product copy, product images, etc., and also a rollout of how we would activate in the local markets with paid advertising, print ads, events and in-store. But ultimately, when it comes to the right image that would go with the campaign, I mean, for our products, they're vehicle based, and a vehicle, for example, an RV in the US looks very different from an RV in Germany. And if you're a consumer or target audience, you recognize that. Mm-hmm. So we have to allow them also to have the right images to match that target audience, and also then let them take the concept within reason and adapt the wording and adapt the headline into something that suits their market. Otherwise, there's no point really in them doing it. So we want to be able to give them the feeling, empower them to be able to make those choices, but also stay on brand at the same time. It's a really hard line to walk for many companies, I think. Yeah. But I think good processes, good tools, and trust really allow you to do that successfully.
Okay, it reminds me a lot of the struggles that brands face when it comes to influencer marketing as well, because many brands some of them decide to give their influencers very strict guidelines that they have to follow, and other brands decide to give their influencers much more liberty when it comes to their creative approach towards engaging with the audience. And so this is similar. At the same time, you have these global instructions, but you're giving your teams on the ground, you're empowering them with the opportunity to localize and adapt the content, because at the end of the day, nobody knows that culture better than the teams on the ground, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's the same with absolutely influencer marketing. You can actually give an influencer, from my personal experience, the most strictest guidelines or the clearest instructions, and still they're going to know what is best for their audience. And I think it's the same. You have to trust them and trust that they know what works, and really, take your hands off within reason and just try and guide them as best you can for what you're looking for, but be happily surprised, I think, in many ways when they do something that is really impactful and engaging that you couldn't have thought of. So It's a lot of trust.
Okay, we are getting towards the end of our interview in terms of this first section, but I want to ask about practical examples. So, as someone who breathes and lives content marketing campaigns every day, which campaigns have you admired lately and why? And obviously, feel free to zoom into any of your own campaigns.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about any of my own campaigns, but I recommend that if you are interested in what Dometic is doing, to go to dometic.com and check some of the things that we're doing, and also on our socials. It's at Dometic, very easy to find. But one campaign from a purely content marketing perspective that I absolutely love, it's from Absolute Vodka, which is a Swedish company, and they created this really awesome content marketing video series called Absolute Drinks with Rico. And what they've done, I think, is like fantastic, because they've been able to create engaging, platform appropriate content on YouTube that's really relevant and establishes trust and authority with a younger, legal drinking age, of course, target audience. I love how they've just, they've taken what is good about YouTube and what is engaging about YouTube and really applied it to what they can do with their brand and products. And I think that to me is really inspirational, because for marketers, it's really hard sometimes to be able to, there's so many different distribution channels, and there really is no one size fits all content. For example, you're always adapting and changing to fit the audience, fit the platform, which is part of the job, of course. But sometimes, you can get a little bit lost. And what this series is done, I recommend you check it out for some inspiration, especially for drinks if you're a drinker or not, or just alcohol free. But they've just made it really clever and well done. And I think it's just it's a really great way that we can do content marketing as brands to really show affinity with our target audiences rather than selling to them, and build that relationship that will lead to like brand preference and brand choice further on, which is the future, I think, of marketing.
Mm-hmm. Funny that you actually zoomed into that example. I was on the record yesterday with the brand manager of Malibu, which is part of the Absolute Group, and which again is part of the Pernod Ricard global group. And then a few weeks ago, I was also on the record with global social media manager of Pernod Ricard, and the Absolute company belongs to that. So I'll have to definitely send those interviews your way. They're full of great tips.
I'd love to see that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving into the last section of today's interview, it's going to be a set of rapid fire questions. To get this section started off, Jasmine, I'd like to ask you about your source of inspiration. So an influencer, professional role model, a book or publication that just really inspires you.
Yeah, I think I'll try and answer this as quick as possible. All the tools and resources that I love and admire are usually free. And they're also podcasts because I love to listen. So I love the Social Media Marketing Podcast. It's pretty popular, and it has, there's a website with fantastic articles and resources, but I feel like they're always on top of the trends. They're always speaking to experts. And if you are and they're always like exploring things in a really smart way for marketers. So we don't have to do all the hard work sometimes to figure out what to do on this new platform, or if it's right for our business or brand. So that's my first one. I also love the CMO podcast. It's a podcast where they interview different CMOs from companies, big and small. And it's a really good way to look into, I guess, other organizations and take some inspiration from what they're doing. And then last one is later.com. It's an app actually for social media scheduling, and they just do fantastic resources when it comes to marketing and what is happening with TikTok, Instagram, and like Pinterest. So if you're interested in how to get your content out there more effectively, and to really you create good stuff, right? And you really want people to see it. Well, you really then need to get the distribution part down well, and they have some great resources for you there. And
And it's called later.com?
Later.com. The app's called Later. I love it. I think it's a not an expensive tool to have. It's like $15 a month. And as a social media scheduling app, I think that's really, really reasonable to some of the other apps and resources out there. I would check it out. Later.com.
Okay, and so I guess that would answer my next question, which would be, what's your favorite app at the moment and why? Later.com?
Maybe no, I love later, but I would say my favorite app right now is TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, you said ooh. Was that a good ooh or a bad ooh?
I
Or
mean,
surprise?
for like entertainment reasons, definitely a good O. Like, oh, I love it. I think it's so engaging and so much fun. For other reasons, it's more like, oh, what's going to happen with TikTok?
I think it's right now. My most favorite app because I think it's becoming. I mean, more and more relevant for brands to have a presence on TikTok. And for me, I'm having a lot of fun, like kind of like hacking through and seeing what is working for brands, like similar to Dometic, and also other bigger brands like H&M, for example. How are they adapting their content for that platform? And is this where everyone is? Obviously, there's a huge audience on TikTok, quite a young audience. But I think to understand and to be on top of those trends as a marketer is super important. But also, I find it very funny. TikTok. It's a very entertaining app. But I want to keep digging to see what could be good for Dometic going forward and other brands in the Dometic group. So that's my favorite app right now.
Okay, excellent, Jasmine. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Content Mix. You provided great insights and tips, and I was so happy that you joined us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really look forward to hearing from you soon. And take care.
Yeah. And to everybody listening in today, thank you for joining us on the Content Mix. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out the Content Mix. We'll be releasing interviews just like this one every week, so keep on tuning in. Thanks again. Have a fabulous day, and see you next time. Bye.